Hello, and welcome. I know I've made a few videos before, basically introducing you to bot programming, but what I was doing was I was using an existing library called ch.py, but in this video, what we're going to do is we're actually going to write a bot in Python from scratch, without any libraries except for the built-in modules that come with Python. So I'm assuming at this point that you have already downloaded and installed Python. So let's just get started then. We're going to go ahead and open a new window. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is and I also assume that you know basic Python, and if not, we're gonna touch up on a few things here. Now, I'm not gonna use any classes or anything too much like that. Now, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna write a simple room bot. This isn't gonna handle anything but connection to one room, just to give you an introduction on how to use sockets and different things of that nature. Okay, so first off, what we're going to do is we are going to start with our imports. All right, so first off, what we're going to do is we're going to import sys. Now that's just the system. And then we're going to also import trace back. Alright, and that is going to be used in a method we're going to create to format our errors and print them to a file, and different things like that. So since I don't know exactly what version of Python you are going to be using, I have to enter a little test here. If sys.version, sorry, my end key is a little messed up, so actually my end key is completely popped off and the rubber underneath is gone. So when I hit it, it sometimes does multiple ends. So right now what we're doing is we're just saying system version info, and then if that is greater than 2. So we're checking to see our system version. So basically, if it's version 3, we're going to import URL lib dot request as. Now we're importing URL lib dot request as URL request, because that'll just basically, instead of calling this here and then dot, whatever, open, whatever, we'll just be able to do URL rec. So URL req. Now we're going to have it else. So anything else, we're going to import URL lib 2 as URL2. Now I might have gotten this actually messed up here. So this one I think is the later version. So whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just, we're going to put that like that. Okay. Now we're also going to import URL lib request and import URL lib parse. I think it is. Yeah. Okay. So that's that. Now we also got to import our socket module. Socket. Alright, that's going to handle our connections. Now socket is basically, we're going to be a client socket, and we're going to connect it to a port, and then we're going to there's going to be server sockets listening on a port on Chatango. So basically, a socket is just the endpoints between a connection between our system and the server. So now what we're going to do is from threading import timer. Now what I'm doing all this first because I know that we're going to be using these things. So and now from threading import now that's going to be used for the ping task, and it's basically like going to be a delayed ping task just to stay connected to the server. Alright, so now import random. Now we're just going to use this for fun, different things. Import RE, regular expressions. That's basically, we're going to use like RE. Now I normally code in Java, so if I mix up the terms, forgive me, but RE can basically, you get a pattern and then you match it, whatever, and then you can substitute it or replace. Well, I don't know exactly, the keywords right at this moment, but okay. So now we're going to import time. Import JSON. Import. All right, time. Basically, we're gonna use this to when we're printing stuff and when we're writing to a file, we're gonna do time, and we're also gonna use this in our error method. JSON is basically we're gonna be using it to work with file systems, and then lastly, date time. Now we're gonna end up using all of these. All right. So there we go. We have our imports. Now the variables that we're going to be using, all right, are going to be as follows, and I'll explain them as I go. All right, UID. Now this is basically I want to say, okay, no, it's not host. User ID is going to be general. Oh yeah, okay. So the user ID is actually going to be generated. It's a 16-digit number of random stuff. So okay, of random digits. Okay, so the bot name is going to equal. And then this is where you put your bot name, alright, and then you want to do a password, that's going to equal your password for your account that you want to use the bot on, and then just make a host, equal that and blank. Alright. Now the host is actually going to end up being something like s17.chat or whatever it's going to end up being. We'll get to that when we come to it. Now the port number, I'm going to set it to 5228. Okay, and then room name. I'm thinking about doing the camel case, but I think I'm not gonna. Room name equals your room name. Now, when you're doing your room name, you have an example like example.chatango.com, whatever. All right. So basically, all that we're putting in it, the only thing of the room name you need is the first part. Okay. So my room name is going to be Digital Mastermind 69. Digital Mastermind 69. Okay. That's my chat room. All right. So. Okay. And then bot owner. Now, this is basically used in tests, so you would put your screen name, not the bot's name. So this can be used in tests to test like to limit only certain commands to be functional when reading your name as the sender of the command. Okay. So that's that. All right. So now, what we got to do is we are gonna set up the server tag weights. All right. So you would put your name here. My account name is Digitalclay. So now we got that. So the server tag weights. All right. So if you open up a browser here and you go to a chat room. For instance, all right. Now, if you add a slash and then a question mark and then a JS, we'll be able to view the chat room in JavaScript. Now you view frame source. All right. Now here we go. Chatango tag servers. All right. Now basically this is an array of a multi-dimensional array, basically, of the server weights. Now, if you look here and you Control F, then you can find this, copy it, paste it in here. Now you can see the methods that use it. All right. So if you go one up, that's that. You go one down. So C window that changes X hash blah 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 blah. All right. So this function here actually gets the server. I don't know exactly where it ends. So it would probably be split to string for each number and return number. Alright. So this function here is how chat in JavaScript, how Chatango gets the server number for your specific chat room. So what it does is function WA, A equals A.split.join Q. Alright. So basically replace this with Q. Replace that with Q. And this we're talking about the room name. Okay, and then you got your math.5 length. Now this is either B is equal to 5, or if A dot length is longer, or the smallest number, I mean min. So if A dot length is smaller, B is going to equal that. If 5 is smaller, it's going to equal that. Alright, so basically it goes through there. Now we're going to use that too, and this here to basically code our get server thing. All right. So now what we're going to do is I have a list made up already from my bots of the tag server weights. All right. Already formatted. Now, basically, it's this. Now, if you want, I can do it like this. We'll just do it like this, I suppose. Grab this. Okay. Okay, we'll copy this part. Quite a few values here. Alright. So now, alright. So now, for the most part, we have our thing here. So 5 and then equals W12, whatever. Alright, W12, 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 blah, 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 blah. Alright, so that is all enclosed in this. Alright. So now, what we got to do is go back to our website here. Now, this is SM. This is basically, these numbers here correspond to this row here. Alright? And so basically now we need to get the values here. Copy that. So first off, we got this here under Chatango and tab server. We got these values here. Go ahead and copy that. And then for the other part that we had already got, we started here at SM and made sure to include that and that. Alright, so we grab that all the way to there, leaving out that last little part. So now that we have that, we also have this. So basically what we're going to do is, it's going to take a little while here, but it'll be worth it. Basically what we have is our tag servers stuff. Alright, so what we're going to do is just kind of clean up this stuff here. And what we're going to do is make these into variables. Okay, so that also means we're going to have to change all of these here. But the good thing is it'll be easy a certain way. Alright, so server 10 equals 110. Server 12 equals 116. Server 75 equals 75. I mean 112 with 12. Alright. And basically we'll just set these to their things. Alright. Alright. So now that we have that set up, we can give this TS weights equals. Alright. So now what we're going to do is just kind of tighten this up. 2, 3, 7, got 3 in a row. You know what? Let's just put them 4 to a row. I'm just doing this to kind of tighten it up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so every 4 things, we're going to go ahead and just kind of tighten it up a little bit here. Now these have to be in order, alright? They have to be in order. So, go ahead and just keep them in order, alright? It's going to be a little bit of time consuming. So what I'm going to do is just basically set those up back how I had it. Alright, so now 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Alright. So now that's basically what's up. So now we have to make sure our multi-dimensional array. So we have an array with key value pairs inside of it. It's not really a multi-dimensional array. It's more like a key value type thing. Alright. Well, it's kind of both. So basically, now all we got to do is switch these here to these. So what we're going to do is edit. We're going to find all of W12. Not find. Edit, and we're going to replace. Copy this, copy, replace, that there, okay. We're just going to replace it. So, fine. Alright. So now we're going to get our next one here, which is W12. go ahead and go through those. Just replace those. And then we're almost done. We're about to get to some fun stuff here. And there we go. We have our TS weights set up. Okay. So moving right along. Let's get to some fun stuff here. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to write some methods to well, first things first. What we're going to do is we're going to write a connect method. All right. So we're going to define connect. All right. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set user ID to generate UID. Alright? And then we're going to print UID. Alright. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to write the host or the connect method, and then we're going to, because this is calls for a function that we haven't set up yet. So now we're going to do the host variable, and the host is going to be get server ID, and we're going to pass in room name. Alright, so now, and then to make sure everything went kosher, we're going to print host st. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to write global, because the socket is going to be used outside of this method or the connection. So I'm just going to get global sock, and we're going to be changing it here. So just sock equal sock equals socket dot socket. Okay. Then we're going to connect sock dot connect. And then in here we're going to pass in a host and a port. Host, port. Alright. Alright, so now what we're going to do is, before we go any further, we're going to Well, actually, let's just finish up. So now that we have connected, we're going to log in. Now log in. All right. So now let me explain what's going on. All right. We're getting the user ID, which Chatango needs for their web page to function, to recognize you by. Now, getting the server ID, that's going to be using this and doing that, basically making a Python version of the method that we saw in JavaScript on the Chatango website. So, and then we're going to use print the host. All right. So then we make a socket, and it's going to be a client socket, and we're basically going to connect to the host and the port. All right. And then when the streams are set up, we send a login. Now this method is going to look like something like, okay, well, we'll get to that when we get to that. But basically, you send information to the server, t login, and then one of these numbers, and then basically, or actually no, for room, I think it's b auth, and the room name, the user ID, password, things of that nature. Now you can also log in as an anon by just simply not passing and sending by not sending the user credentials. All right. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to start making some of those methods I told you about. All right, before we go on any further. Now we're going to come back and finish up the connect method. But for now, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we're going to write the generate user ID method. Remember, I told you it was a 16-bit, 16-digit, not bit, string of numbers. So we're going to define a new function, gen UID, right? And then basically new ID or number ID, whatever you want to think of it as, whatever variable you want to have it as. All right, is this, okay? So now what we're going to do is while loop, while the length of an ID is less than 16. So basically we're going to loop until the length of this is less than 16. So in here, real simple, NID plus equal string of random dot rand int and then from 0 to 10. Alright. A to B returns random integer in range A to B, including both endpoints. Alright, so now we have that. Generate user ID. So now, when that's done, we're just going to return an ID. Alright, simple as that. Now on to our next and a little bit more complicated method, or function. Define get server ID. This takes in name of the chat room. Alright. So, alright. So, like I showed you before, alright. The video is getting kind of long, but like I showed you from the chat room here, function WA. So A equals A, that split, that join, blah, blah, blah. So that's one line. That's basically that. And then the math.min, then you parse it of a substring with base 36 numbers, so hexadecimal. And then you get a substring of the later of the string, whatever. And then you parse it, you know, this says is A not a number, whatever, and then, you know, void, blah, 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 blah. But we're basically going to do it a different way, because it's then, you know, it adds up the lengths of all the values and the server weights, and then it basically it'll be easier to explain it when we type it out here. Alright, so get server ID. We're going to take name equals name dot replace. Okay, so just like in there, if a chat room has an underscore in their name, they replace it with a Q. Alright, so now we're going to add another one, dot replace, and then basically you can do this on one or two lines. I'm just doing it on one. So another Q, and this one is going to be that. Alright, so now name is properly formatted. So now, what we're going to do is, remember, get the minimum. So min s, I just added an s because min is a keyword in Python. Min, get the minimum, return the minimum of 5 and length of name. So in this case, since it's going to pass in digital masterminds, it's going to return 5, because digital mastermind's length is a lot bigger than 5, so it's going to return the min of that. Alright? Alright, so now we're going to take a substring. Now, substring equals name Alright, so now from 0, we're going to split name. Let's take a substring of the name, basically the front part of the name, and then we're going to add in mins. Now the reason we get this here, the reason why we do this, is if length of name is smaller than 5, you know, then, like if it's a really, really short word, they have to do this. Alright, so there's that. It's either 5 or mins if it's smaller, or the name if it's smaller. Alright, so 0 to mins. Alright, so now we're going to get a integer value of the substring in base 36, which is hexadecimal. So I'm going to call it hex int equals int. So we're going to cast substring and base 36. Alright, so now front part of the name, front end is equal, we're going to cast it as a float, and then we're going to pass in hex okay. So now we have our first part done. Let's give us some room here. Alright, so now we're basically going to do the same thing, but for the last part of name, the chat room name. So last n equals 1,000. Okay, and we're going to test if the length of the name. I should really use variables without ends because it really messes me up trying to do this and constantly going back and deleting extra ends. So basically, we're testing if the length of the name is greater than 6. Alright, because we're splitting off parts, the name in half basically. Alright, so now if it is greater than 6, alright, we're going to do basically the same thing, but we're going to do it for the last part of it. Alright, and if it's not, last number or last n is going to be equal to 1,000. Alright, and this will just be skipped. So basically, we're just going to take this, copy, and paste that in there. And we're just going to add 2's here. And then here. Alright, but we do have to change a few things here. So instead of 5, we're going to do 3. 3. And here, length of name, but we're going to subtract 5 because of the 5 up here. So we're just getting the later part of it. So now name, and we're going to start from 6 because before it was 5. And then 6 plus mins 2. Alright, so we're getting a substring 2 from the name, starting at 6 place, and mins 2 plus 6 place is where we're going to end. Alright, so hexint 2 is basically substring 2, 36, int, right? And then last n, actually, last n going to equal the max here, the max of hexint 2 and 1,000. So now, if hexint 2 is greater than 1,000, then last n is going to equal that. But if it's not, last n is going to equal 1,000. All right. So now we're about halfway there. This is a little bit long here. I'm going to try to make this video about an hour, and then we can go ahead and do part 2 at another time. Alright, so now I'm going to try to go quick through this so we can have it up and running in one video. So we're going to take front number, front n, and then we're going to mod it, which is basically like remainder. When you divide it and get the remainder. So the remainder, when you divide front number and last number, and then we're going to divide that by last n. Okay, now max num is going to equal 0. Alright, and now basically this next part is we're going to calculate the max number. So how I showed you in here, what they did was they looped through all the server values and added them up, and that's going to be the max number. Okay, so this is going to be real simple. We're just going to make a for loop for wait in TS we're going to do max num plus equal, then we're going to get the weight that it's currently on, and we're going to get the value, which is the second part. Alright, we're going to add all that up and then print, just so we know, we're going to print max num. Okay, now I think this number should print out like 70, at this moment it's like 7,045, but I'm not too sure. It's like 704 or something. I don't know. We'll see in a second. Okay, so now, almost there. Now print max num. Alright, so now sum, and we'll just name it f, equals 0, and then server number num equals 0. So now what we're going to do is we're going to loop again for wait and TS waits, and this is where we're actually going to calculate what server that our chat room is using. So okay, so sum f is going to be plus equal the float value of wait 1, and then we're going to divide that by max num. Now there's no rhyme or reason. This is just how Chatango decided to implement how to do servers. So I'm just basically emulating what they have on their thing here. Alright, so they got a for whatever, blah blah blah, and then %, this is where they set it to 1,000, max whatever, the later substring, I'm not going to go through all this right now, but so now what we're going to do now is some frequency. Oh yeah, we're going to test if num is less than or equal to sum f, and if it is, we're going to set the server number to equal the int value of wait 0. So here we're getting the value, and this is basically what I like to call the key, because it is kind of like key pairs in here, like key pair, but it's kind of, but not really. Alright, so there's that, and then we're going to break out of the loop. Alright, and really, that's That's what it is. Sum f, if no, wait, not by max number, if sum f, serve number, wait, break. Okay, so now I'm gonna hop back here and server equals, I'm gonna basically format the string plus a string cast of serve num plus dot chat and go dot conf. Okay, and then we're just simply going to return server. So now our host is going to equal this. Don't worry if you didn't quite understand all that. Just do it how I did it, and basically that's just how Chat and Go does it. You know, that's just the way it is. So now we got the generate UID, we got our host, we got our sock connected. Now we got to send the login. So one last method, define send login. Okay, so now for send login, we're basically going to send the t login, or no, not t login. It's let me think for a sec. It's bauth. It's alright, bauth. Okay. So what we're gonna do is send login. We're gonna write a method send to server, and we're gonna pass in a string here. Alright, bauth colon plus room name plus UID plus spot plus another colon, and this is the line that's actually getting sent to the server after this is the login to log into the chat room, and the password. Okay, plus, and then we have to basically make this a like a blank byte type thing. So there's that. Alright, send to server, and then that's our string. Let me double check it here. Bot name, password, terminator. Alright, so now one last method to create is send to server. Define send to server. Now this is the method we're going to use to this is the function we're going to use to do all of our sending to the server. Okay. So now, basically, what we're going to do is sock dot send all, and then the string of message. Then we're going to encode it into bytes. Now, this here is just, helps with that, formatting it. Encode, and we'll just do it like that. So, send all string message, encode. Alright, and we're going to try, accept, and then we're just going to, I don't know, return. Well, we're going to implement this. We're going to implement this in a later tutorial. And we're also going to implement a write lock, because if you try reading from the server and writing to the server, it's going to crash. So you need some type of write lock to do that. So now we have a way. So let's just start at the top again. Alright, we've got our imports, we got our variables, our server waits, and we define connect here. And we got our ID, our host, socket connected. We sent our login. Alright, send login, and that called send to server. We passed in a message to send. And then we get our socket, and we send all string message encode, whatever. Alright, so now, since we're not changing our socket in any way, we don't need to really make it global. But here, I don't even think that I need to do that, but I just did it. I mean, it's not hurting anything. So, alright. One last thing. We need a way to read what the server is sending back to us. So we'll go to our connect method. And one last thing is our read method. Alright? So basically, and then we got to do our read and our ping. So right now we're just going to make a timer variable. Timer start. What we're going to do is every 20 seconds, or in 20 seconds, we're going to call a method called ping. Alright, and we'll write that in a second. Now we're going to do make a thread, read thread, set it equal to thread, and then the target equals run. So the run method that we're going to create. So read thread dot set daemon now this is just just basic housekeeping for making a thread daemon. Thread start. Alright, so now we are one step closer. We only got 2 methods left to write, and then we'll be good to go. We'll have our first connected bot with the ability to stay connected and all that good stuff. So now, here, we're going to write the method define run. Okay, and then we're going to do while true, and then we're going to go mensg equals str, and then sock dot receive, and then this value is how much do you want the socket to receive at a time. It can be it's generally a power of 2, and it's generally a small power of 2. So 10, 1024, 512, 1024, 2058, or not 2058, 248, 2048. I'm getting tired. But anyways, we're just going to do 1024. There's not that much is going to be sent. So now we're going to decode what they send, because they're going to be sending it in bytes. UTF 8. Alright. And then, just for now, we're going to print SG. Alright. So now, since I want to log in as an anon, what I'm going to do is just to test if this bad boy works, we're going to copy this, and instead of having this, I'm just going to have that. Alright. So now, let's go ahead and give it a shot here. Okay. Digitalclay, my 2 bots. We got 1 anon here at the moment. Alright. So now, let's go ahead and run our file. Oh wait, first off, before we do that, we have to call connect. Alright, go ahead and run this bad boy and see if it works. I'm going to save this here. Oh, we forgot to write our ping method. So, send login, define ping, and then we're going to And let me think. All right. So send to server. Oh yeah. Let me do escape characters. Oh yeah, that's it. And then we're going to want to come up here and get our thing, our timer, and basically make this a recursive. This is going to call itself after 20 seconds. Okay? So now this should work. Run. Alright. So it's denied. So alright. Well, it looks like we're going to have to log in with an account. So what we're going to do is go ahead and be auth, that, then the room name, the user ID, the bot name, the password, and that. Send all. Okay. So now this should work. Let me go ahead and create an account here. Okay. So this now. Interesting. Let me see, why is that working like that? Confused here. This should actually work, but if we look up here, alright, there's that. This is the max num. That is the server. It says re-login and denied. I'm kind of confused about why it's doing that. Let me think here. Alright, well, it all works. I'm confused here. Let me think. Alright. Maybe instead of sitting here, this would be a good spot to end this tutorial until I can figure out what's going on. So let me think. Let's see. Connect once and login. I don't get it. It's being a pain for some reason. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here and figure out what's going on, and then in the next tutorial, this should probably work for you. I think it has to do with something that I'm not seeing, but this works good. This works good. I mean, everything's works. Everything's working. So, check that on bottom plot. Okay. User ID. Huh. Re-log in. I don't understand. Let me think. Alright. Okay, so it logged in. Or no, it didn't. Send login. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna have to end the video here, and we'll finish it up another time. Right. Alright, so I have no idea what happened, but I run it now, and it works. Kind of confused. You know, what's going on here? You know, it works though. But, it's kind of silly. Let me go ahead and, do my chat room 69. Run module. Yeah, it works. Like, I don't get it. So yeah, we you can see there is our bot, and like I said, it would probably work for you. And see, it goes away. Then if we run this bad boy again, it's there. Alright, so this big jumbled up mess here. Okay means okay, you know. This is chat room owner, mods, oops, or M is not mods, it's something else. Oops. And now if I was a mod, you would get mods there. But now we're just getting that for me. Alright. I is basically past messages. So a lot of this crud here is just past messages. Initted means it started, and then N is people here. So it's printing because of the ping task. So it's printing blank. So there you go. I don't understand. As soon as I paused it and then ran it again, it started working. So I have no idea. Maybe it took a while for them to read. I don't know. It was something to do with Chatango's relogin. But as you can see, it works fine now. So that is your intro to making a Chatango bot for the rooms. We're going to do PMs, bot, and then we're also going to cover Java, making a library in Java. And we're going to finish this one up, you know, do a bunch of commands. You got to send things to the server, receive things from the server, format everything. Most of the work is going to be done on inside of run. For instance, like, you know, you can test, you know, like if MSG, you know, starts with, you know, B, you know, I think that's what the message is. Hold on, let me go ahead and run this. Okay, run, check module. Then see here if I enter hello. It'll see how the messages are B, and then basically a timestamp, user thingy, and then hello. And this will also have a name in here, but it doesn't. So, alright, that's the tutorial for today. Any questions or comments, ask in the comments section. Alright, this is JP. Have a good one.